The vanishing for months, young men had been disappearing from cities, villages, even from locked rooms. There were no signs of struggle, no ransom notes, and no bodies, just silence. The news called it the vanishing, and no one had answers. Some said it was human trafficking, others blamed secret military programs. But late at night, when people whispered in fear, one word always came up: aliens. Ryan was a normal 22-year-old guy living in a small town. He worked as a freelance coder and played video games late into the night. He had no enemies, no secrets, and no reason to disappear, but he always felt like something was off lately. Like the air around him was too still, too quiet. Like someone or something was watching him one night. As he walked home after grabbing a soda from the nearby store, he saw it, a bright light in the sky, moving too fast to be a plane. It stopped above the trees, then vanished in an instant. Ryan stood there, frozen, trying to understand what he just saw. A cold shiver ran down his back when he told his friend Mark the next day. Mark laughed. "Maybe you're next." "Man," he joked, "better start packing for Mars." Ryan laughed too, but inside, he felt uneasy. That night, he triple-locked his doors, shut the windows tight, and tried to sleep, but around 2 a.m., he woke up with a strange buzzing in his ears. His room was glowing, a soft blue light pulsing through the walls. He tried to move, but his body was frozen. His eyes rolled back as everything went black. Ryan woke up gasping, strapped to a smooth metal table. The room was round silver and humming with energy. Figures moved around him, tall, thin beings with silver skin and glowing eyes. Their faces were smooth and calm, their movements sharp and quick. They didn't speak, not with words, but somehow, Ryan could feel them inside his head. One of them leaned closer, sniffing the air around him. Then, in clear English, it said, "You are a bearer." Ryan's heart raced. "What do you want from me?" he shouted, but no one answered. They began attaching strange tubes to his arms and neck. A large machine nearby started to power up, making a low humming sound. Suddenly, another figure entered, smaller, wearing a different robe. It was still alien, but its eyes were softer. It placed 2 fingers on Ryan's forehead, and a voice echoed in his mind. "Don't let them take the nectar," it said. "It will kill you." Ryan's mind filled with images. Other men, locked in similar rooms, weak and pale, their eyes were empty, their bodies drained. He saw the machine pulling a glowing golden liquid from their bodies, and the aliens drinking it like a drug. The liquid, the nectar, was not blood, not medicine. It was something else. Something only human males could produce, and only while alive. The machine near Ryan turned red. Alarms started flashing. Something was wrong. The tubes on his body shook as the machine glitched. The aliens began to panic, shouting in their own language. The smaller alien, the one who warned him, smashed a control panel with a long stick. Sparks flew, the lights flickered, and Ryan's restraints unlocked. "Run!" The voice echoed again in his head. "You don't know what you are yet, but you must survive." Ryan fell to the ground, weak but free. He crawled toward the broken door as smoke filled the room. Behind him, the other aliens recovered and began chasing him. He ran through a long corridor of glass walls, seeing other human men in chambers, some awake, some not. He didn't have time to stop. He had to escape. Just as he reached the end of the corridor, a large gate slammed shut in front of him, behind him. The tall aliens were getting closer. Then suddenly, everything froze. The lights turned blue again, and a loud voice echoed through the chamber. "Subject 09 has breached containment," it said. "Activate memory suppression." A sharp pain hit Ryan's head, like 1,000 needles piercing his brain. He screamed, but no sound came out. His vision blurred, and everything faded into darkness once again. Hours later, Ryan woke up in his own bed, sweating, gasping for air. His phone showed it was still the same night. Only 10 minutes had passed. No signs of any aliens, no broken doors, no glowing machines, just silence, but something was wrong. He felt it in his bones, and on his arm, where the tubes had been, were small red marks like tiny scars. Ryan looked out his window, searching the sky, and far in the distance, a blue light blinked. Once, then vanished. The market of Fleshran wasn't dreaming. He was floating, weightless, surrounded by a soft blue mist. He could hear whispers all around him, but no one was there. Then came the voices, clear, cold, alien. Tag him, one said. Highest purity level detected, said another. Elite class material. The last one added. He opened his eyes slowly. But the world was different now. He wasn't in his bed. He was inside a transparent capsule, floating in a giant circular hall. There were hundreds of capsules like his, each carrying a young man, unconscious or barely awake. The place was silent, but heavy with fear. Ryan's breath fogged the glass, and he saw his reflection, pale, tired, and marked. On his neck was a glowing symbol, a barcode of some kind. The capsule moved slowly down a track, like a display piece in a strange alien museum. Outside, strange beings stood tall, eyes glowing, cloaks flowing like liquid shadows. They were watching the capsules, whispering among themselves in hunger and desire. A loud, deep voice echoed across the hall. Welcome to Sector 9's Prime Exchange, where the finest bearers are presented for nectar harvest and royal bidding. Ryan felt his chest tighten. He wasn't a guest. He was the product. The capsule stopped in front of a platform, where 5 alien elites stood with glowing stones in their hands. Each stone lit up brighter as they looked at Ryan. Rare gene detected, said one. He will feed an empire. He will fuel a war, said another, smiling coldly. He belongs to the Queen, the third whispered. Suddenly, the glass around Ryan hissed and opened. He fell out, weak and dizzy, his knees hitting the cold metal floor. 2 guards grabbed him, pulling him to his feet. He struggled, but he was too weak to fight. He heard a voice behind him, soft but sharp. Stop, it said. He is not ready. Ryan turned to see a different kind of alien, smaller, with metallic blue skin and eyes that held pain instead of power. Her name was Zara, and unlike the others, she didn't look at him like a meal. She looked at him like a person. Do you know what they're doing to you? She asked quietly. They're going to take everything from you, and when you're dry, they'll discard your body like trash. Ryan stared at her, confused and afraid. Why me? He asked, his voice shaking. Zara paused, then whispered, because your kind is cursed with something we crave, something called nectar. She glanced around and leaned closer. It flows in your blood, in your mind, in your pain. It gives us power, beauty, control, but it destroys you from the inside slowly. Ryan's stomach turned. You're saying they're farming humans? Zara nodded. Only males, she said. Only your biology creates the perfect balance. And once they start the extractions, you won't survive past the 3rd. One of the elite buyers stepped forward, placing a glowing mark on Ryan's arm. This one is reserved, he declared, for the Queen herself. Ryan felt fire on his skin where the mark landed, but inside, something else burned. Rage, fear turned into anger. They thought he was weak. They thought he would obey. Zara looked him in the eyes. There are others like you, she said, hidden in the lower levels, planning to escape. Meet me when the lights dim, in cell block 4. And Ryan, she paused, if you want to live, don't let them take your nectar. The guards pulled him away again, dragging him toward a silver hallway filled with blue light and humming machines. As he passed other humans in glass cells, some locked eyes with him. Their faces were pale, their bodies thin, their hope gone. But one of them nodded slightly, as if to say, we see you. We're waiting. You're not alone. As the gates closed behind him, Ryan knew something for sure. He had only one choice now, escape or die a slow death as fuel for a dying empire. The science of addiction. Long before humans knew they were being hunted, the aliens had already mapped their biology. It started with Observation Unit Theta, A secret alien base hidden deep in the Arctic. Decades ago, they captured their first human male by accident during a crash. The scientists were curious. Not cruel, at least not at first, but then they found it. A golden fluid that leaked from his brain under extreme emotional stress. A chemical so rare, so powerful, that even a drop of it made their minds sharper. Faster, clearer. They called it Nectar, and from that moment, they were addicted. Ryan had no idea about any of this until he woke up in Lab Chamber 7. It was not a cell this time, but something worse. A clean, silent room filled with machines that looked too advanced to belong in any universe. He was strapped again, but more gently this time. Like a test subject, not a prisoner. Standing in front of him was a tall alien with half-metal skin and wires running into its skull. "I am Drarek," it said, "head of Nectar Genetics." Ryan stayed silent, his eyes burning with anger. "You should be proud," Drarek continued. "You're not just a bearer. You're a mutation." On the screen behind him, images of Ryan's DNA spiraled and danced. "There's something in your blood we've never seen before," Drarek explained. "Your nectar levels are 10 times higher than any human we've harvested." He paused, then smiled strangely. "Your suffering will feed empires." Ryan gritted his teeth. "I'm not your experiment." Drarek ignored him and pressed a button. A needle slid down from the ceiling, aiming for Ryan's spine, but before it could touch him, alarms rang across the chamber, the lights turned red, and a robotic voice said, "Security breach in lower levels." Drarek cursed in his language and stormed out. Ryan, still strapped, looked up to see the needle slowly pulling back. The delay had saved him, but for how long? As he waited, a screen near his bed turned on, showing a documentary-like video. Maybe they didn't know it was playing, or maybe they wanted him to see it. The video showed humans, captured and tested, screaming as machines pulled golden nectar from their brains. It showed alien elites drinking it during rituals, eyes glowing, minds exploding with power. It showed charts, proving that one full nectar dose could make a weak alien smart enough to control armies. And it showed the cost. After 3 extractions, every human died, every single one. Suddenly, Zara's voice came through a hidden speaker. "I'm tapping into their system," she whispered. "Listen carefully." She uploaded more files into the screen. Hidden files, forbidden data. Ryan saw names, faces, logs, experiments, and finally, a file labeled the source mutation. It was him, his birth records, his blood work, his location history, everything. The aliens had been watching him since childhood. Zara's voice was urgent now. "You were born different, Ryan," she said. "They've been waiting for you. Your brain doesn't just produce nectar," she continued. "It regenerates it." Ryan stared at the screen, his heart pounding. "They think you're the future of nectar," she said. "But I think you're the cure." Before he could respond, the door slammed open, and guards rushed in. Drarek was with them, furious. "Enjoy your last breath as a free mind," he spat. "The Queen arrives tomorrow." As they dragged Ryan away, he realized something terrifying. He wasn't just a rare human, he was a weapon. A living source of power that could either destroy the alien empire or fuel it forever. And somewhere inside him, a decision was waiting to be made. Not about escape, but about revenge. Asterisk. The rebellion within. There are places on alien ships that even the guards fear. Dark tunnels, old maintenance shafts, forgotten cargo bays filled with dust and whispers. That's where the rebellion lived. Not with weapons, but with secrets. And Ryan was about to find them. They threw him into cell block 4, the lowest level of the ship. It was cold, rusted, and smelled like smoke and metal. There were no guards here, just cameras. But cameras could be blinded. Zara made sure of that. As the lights dimmed to rest mode, Ryan heard tapping, soft, rhythmic. 3 knocks, pause. 2 knocks, a code. A hidden panel opened in the back wall. And a hand reached out, not alien, but human. The man pulled Ryan through the tunnel into a hidden room. It wasn't large, but it was alive, filled with stolen tech, half-broken weapons, and humans with fire in their eyes. Zara stood at the center, surrounded by others. About a dozen survivors, all marked, all chosen, all broken, but not finished. "This is the core of the rebellion," she said. "And now, you're part of it." Ryan looked around, shocked. "You've all been here this whole time?" An older man with a scar across his face nodded. "They think we're dead," he said. "But we're just waiting." Zara showed Ryan a map of the ship, a floating city in space. At its center was the hive, where the nectar was stored and processed, guarded by elites, worshipped by the addicted. "We've only scratched the surface," she said. "But with you, we can go deeper." Ryan didn't understand. "What can I do?" "I don't have weapons or skills." Zara stepped closer, her voice calm but intense. "You have something more dangerous," she said. "Hope." Then she showed him something that changed everything. A small device, glowing blue, a memory crystal. Inside was a recording from Drorek's lab in it. The scientist spoke to the Queen through a hologram. "He is the only one," Drorek said. "The only human who can produce endless nectar without dying. If we lose him, the hive will fall." The room went silent. Ryan's hands shook. He wasn't just a product anymore. He was the foundation. Without him, their addiction would collapse. That gave him power, and power was the first spark of rebellion. But rebellion came with cost. Later that night, alarms blared in cell block 3. The guards had discovered a hidden chamber and executed 3 captured humans. Zara returned with blood on her hands and fire in her eyes. "They're speeding up the harvest," she said. "We're out of time." Ryan couldn't sleep, not just because of fear, but because of pain. His head throbbed, his veins burned, and his mind kept showing flashes, memories he didn't own. He saw Zara's past, her pain, her betrayal. He saw the Queen's face, smiling as a planet burned. He saw everything. He woke up gasping. Zara stared at him. "You saw it, didn't you?" Ryan nodded slowly. "What is happening to me?" he asked. "You're becoming what they feared," she said. "A bearer with a mind of his own." The next day, they made a plan, not to run, but to strike, while the Queen visited the ship for Ryan's final extraction. The rebellion would attack the hive, destroy the machines, corrupt the nectar, and burn the system from inside. Ryan stared at the glowing map. For the first time since his capture, he didn't feel like prey. He felt like a threat, and far above them, in the golden chamber of the Queen's ship, a cold smile formed on her face. She had felt the shift, the ripple in the nectar flow. The boy was waking up, and war was coming. Escape from the hive didn't sleep. Even when the ship's lights dimmed and the guards rested, the machines inside the hive kept humming, pulsing, feeding. It was the heart of the Empire. And tonight, Ryan planned to break it. The plan was madness. 12 humans, half-starved, barely armed, going up against a fortress filled with elite aliens, drones, and living machines. But they had one thing the aliens didn't: nothing left to lose. And Ryan had become something else. In the final hours before the mission, Zara handed Ryan a blade made of dark crystal. "It's not just a weapon," she said. "It can cut through their shields." Ryan took it without a word. He no longer asked questions. He understood what had to be done. They split into 3 teams. Team Alpha would attack the energy cores from below. Team Beta, the smallest group, would plant charges in the nectar tanks. Ryan and Zara, they were Team Omega. Their mission: get to the main chamber and destroy the Queen's connection to the hive's mind. It started quiet, too quiet. They moved through the maintenance shafts, their footsteps silent, their breaths held. Then the alarms began, one beep, then another. Red lights flared, and the walls began to shift like they were alive. "They knew," Zara hissed. "Someone betrayed us." Within seconds, drones poured out of the ceiling, firing energy beams. Screams echoed in the dark. Team Beta was hit first. 2 gone before they even reached the tanks. Ryan felt the pain in his head again. the burning heat that made his vision blur. But this time, he didn't fight it. He embraced it. The world slowed. He saw patterns in the drone's movements, weak points in their armor. He moved like a ghost, the blade in his hand glowing brighter with every strike. 1 slash, 2 down. 3 steps, another gone. Zara followed close behind, her eyes wide. "You're sinking with the hive," she said, breathless. "You're becoming like them." Ryan didn't answer. There was no time. The entrance to the main chamber opened with a loud hiss. Inside, the queen's altar floated in the center, surrounded by golden nectar flowing through glass veins. And there she stood. The queen was not what Ryan expected. She wasn't monstrous or terrifying. She was beautiful in a cold, impossible way. Tall, glowing, graceful, and her smile was filled with poison. "So this is the rebellion," she said, stepping toward him. "A child with a weapon, and a traitor with broken dreams." Zara raised her blade, but the queen stopped her with a gesture. "You don't belong here anymore, Zara," she said. "Return to your place, or die with the rest." Zara didn't move, but Ryan stepped forward. "I know what I am now," he said. "And I know what you are." The queen's eyes narrowed. "You think you can destroy the hive?" She laughed. "You are the hive." And with that, the chamber shook from deep below. Explosions ripped through the energy cores. Team Alpha had done their part. Smoke rose, alarms screamed, and the nectar veins began to crack. The queen moved fast, faster than thought. She struck Zara with a blast of force that threw her across the room. Ryan screamed, something inside him snapping. The pain in his head exploded, and so did the walls. Energy burst from Ryan's body, sending shockwaves through the chamber. The nectar glass shattered, and golden liquid flooded the floor. The queen screamed in rage as her connection to the hive flickered. Ryan fell to his knees, bleeding, shaking. Zara crawled to him, coughing. "We have to go," she said. "Now." Together they limped toward the exit. The ship was tearing itself apart. Lights blinked, doors failed, and drones began crashing into the walls as the hive lost control. Other rebels joined them along the way, some injured, some carrying the wounded. They reached the docking bay, where an old alien transport ship was waiting, their only chance. Ryan turned back one last time. The hive behind him was burning. But he knew it wasn't over. The queen had survived, and she would come for him. As the ship blasted off, leaving the ruined hive behind, Ryan closed his eyes. Zara held his hand. "You did it," she whispered. "No," he replied, voice weak. "We started it." Far above them, in the cold dark of space. The war had only just begun. The price of power space was silent. But silence didn't mean peace. Not anymore. After escaping the hive, Ryan slept for 2 days straight. His body was weak, but his mind refused to rest. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw flashes, cities burning, alien voices screaming, nectar flowing like rivers. And always the queen's voice, whispering in his head, "You're mine when." He finally woke. The rebellion ship was drifting through a nebula cloud, hiding from scanners. Zara stood at the window, arms crossed, eyes full of worry. "You've changed," she said. "Something's still growing inside you." Ryan looked at his hands. The veins were glowing faintly gold. Even when he wasn't angry, he could hear energy humming through walls. Sense life forms behind closed doors, and when he concentrated, the ship responded to him. Lights flickered, metal shifted, systems obeyed. He wasn't just sinking with the hive anymore. He was becoming something new. That terrified him more than death. The rebellion had grown. Word of the hive's destruction had spread across sectors. Other humans, and even some alien defectors, began joining the cause. But not everyone celebrated. Some feared him. They whispered in corners, "He's one of them. What if he turns on us? He's the next queen, but worse." Ryan heard it all, but said nothing, because deep down, he didn't know if they were wrong. Then came the news. One of the rebel scouts returned with horror in his eyes. "The queen has launched a new hive," he said, A floating city, twice the size, fully armed. And she's using artificial nectar now, unstable. But stronger. Worse, she had captured Zara during a solo mission. Left a message. Trade yourself, or watch her fade. Ryan's hands clenched into fists. The others begged him not to go. They said it was a trap, he agreed, but he still went alone. He arrived at the Queen's hive in an old drone carrier, barely armed. The hive welcomed him like a god, doors opening without resistance, guards bowing in silence. She was waiting at the throne, calm, cruel, glowing with power. Zara was beside her, weak, bruised, but alive. "You came," the Queen smiled. "As I knew you would." Ryan walked slowly toward her, the chamber silent except for their breath. "I didn't come to surrender," he said. "I came to finish it." The Queen laughed. "You're not strong enough to kill me," she said. "Not without killing yourself." She was right. They were connected now. The more power he used, the more it fed her. He was her weapon and her weakness. So Ryan made a choice. He didn't strike. He closed his eyes and did the one thing she never expected. He let go. He shut off the flow of nectar inside him, cut the link, destroyed the source within his own body. A silent scream echoed through the hive as the Queen collapsed, her power draining like water from a broken dam. The chamber lights flickered, and the golden veins across the walls cracked. She gasped, crawling toward him. "What have you done?" She whispered. "I paid the price," Ryan said, falling to his knees. "And now you will too." The hive began to collapse, systems failing, drones crashing, walls splitting. Zara ran to Ryan, lifting him as the hive shook around them. "Hold on," she whispered. "Don't die on me." He smiled faintly. "Already did," he murmured. "Just didn't know it." They escaped through a maintenance hatch, stolen ship waiting outside. As they flew away, the Queen's hive exploded behind them, a sun dying in silence. Ryan lay in the medical bay, barely breathing. His veins no longer glowed, his mind finally quiet. But something had changed in the galaxy. The rebellion had won a battle, but the war, the real war, was just beginning. Because in destroying his power, Ryan had awakened something older, something darker, and far across the stars it had noticed him. Return of the bearer. The galaxy fell silent after the hive burned, nectar supplies vanished, the Queen was gone, and the elites scattered into the shadows. The addiction had ended, but peace never came, because something had changed, not just in the stars, but in the hearts of everyone who had tasted power. Ryan was dying, or at least that's what the medics believed. His body was weak, his blood ran cold, and the golden glow that once marked him was gone. Yet his mind remained awake, trapped in a place between memory and something more. He dreamed of Earth, of laughter, of wind on his face. He dreamed of Zara's voice calling his name, but deeper than dreams, something else called to him. A voice older than the Queen, deeper than the hive. "You are not the end." It said, "You are the door." 3 weeks passed, and Ryan never woke. Zara sat by his side every day, refusing to leave. The rebellion carried on, rebuilding, recruiting, rewriting the story of humans in the stars. To them, Ryan was already a legend. The boy who broke the hive, the bearer who paid the price. But legends never die so easily. On the 23rd night, something happened. The ship's lights flickered, and every system rebooted. Doors opened on their own, and gravity failed for 6 seconds. When it returned, so did Ryan. He opened his eyes slowly, his breath steady, his skin warm. But something was different. His veins didn't glow gold anymore. They shimmered blue, like the core of a dying star. Zara rushed to him, speechless. He looked at her, smiled gently, and whispered, "I saw it." "Saw what?" she asked, her hands shaking. "The truth," Ryan replied, sitting up slowly. "There are more like me." In the silence that followed, Ryan stood, stronger than ever. He walked to the window and looked into space. "There are ancient forces," he said, "older than Nectar, older than the Queen. They fed her power once, And now, they're looking for a new host. Zara stepped beside him, her voice unsure. Ryan, what are you saying? He turned to her, eyes glowing softly blue. I didn't kill the hive, he said. I inherited it. The room went quiet, heavy. Outside, a ripple moved through the stars, not seen, but felt a wave like a warning, somewhere far across. The galaxy, an ancient vault opened for the first time in 10,000 years. Inside, a forgotten race stirred from slumber, the last of the world minds, the keepers of Nectar's first secret. They had waited for a signal, a shift. Now it had come, back on the ship. Ryan touched the control panel, and the metal bent to his will. The systems listened, not with wires, but instinct. He didn't just connect to the ship, he became it. Zara stared at him, both in awe and fear. Are you still you? She whispered. Ryan looked at his reflection in the glass. He didn't answer right away. Then he turned and walked away from the window, toward the command deck, toward the stars, and said only one word. No.